Well, you mentioned "Prepare to Fall," and what I've noticed, and maybe this is wrong, but there's a lot of songs about kind of falling down, but then picking yourself up again, and being positive despite the circumstances. Is this a fair?
I think that a lot of my music sounds that way, but it might not necessarily come from that place.
Okay.
I think that music for a lot of people is an escape, and people have a lot of hard things going on in their lives, and they want to listen to music and escape all of that. And I actually seen an amazing interview with Bruce Springsteen where he was talking about a lot of his iconic songs, and for example something like Dancing in the Dark, it sounds like this exciting bold song that you would go out and dance to, but actually from his point of view it comes from a totally different place, and it's a song about kind of despairing and how terrible his life is. And I think sometimes people just hear the music and forget about that, but he made a point that he doesn't want to make music that people can't enjoy themselves to. He doesn't want people to come to a concert and be bored and just standing there the whole way through. So he consciously has this positive aspect in his songs, but that he really had to suffer to get to that point. And when I watched this interview, it's something that I totally could relate to, because there's a lot of my songs that sound really upbeat, they sound really positive, love for the moment, whatever, but a lot of the time they don't actually come from that positive place. But like I said, I think music is an escape, and people are trying to escape things in life, and they don't need to be reminded that everything is terrible. Right. So I always try and keep things with a positive spin on them.
But a song like, well, for instance, "The Contender," what is the place that it comes from?
That song's actually inspired by, well, the Commonwealth Games, which we held in Glasgow, which is a smaller scale version of the Olympics. And it was just watching the thousands and thousands of athletes that basically spend 4 years of their life, they give up everything, and they focus everything on whatever event it is that they're taking part in. And apart from the tiny, tiny, tiny 1% at the top that will maybe succeed and go on to become really well-known, really respected athletes, there's tens of thousands of people who, despite working just as hard, despite giving up just as much, will never get that recognition and will never reach the place that they aim to reach. And I just thought it was really sad. And I think that people don't ever think about that. They just think about who got the gold medal, and that's it. And that's all they ever care about. And it can be said that it's similar in music, it's similar in the movie industry. People only ever really care about the 1% at the top, whereas there's so many thousands of people just working just as hard and giving up just as much, if not more, and they never really get that recognition. And that's what inspired the track "The Contender."
And then, like you say, there are similarities to the music industry. So is this something you can relate to, that you feel?
I mean, I've been very lucky. I've had successful albums and I've done really well, but the music industry isn't really fair. There's a lot of artists who come through who have got incredible albums, who've worked really hard, but they'll never really break through because they're not in the kind of fashionable category, whatever's in at that point. And that's difficult, and it's hard to watch bands or artists that you really like never really getting the chance that I think they deserve. And that's probably the same for sport and for movies and for all walks of life.
And well, you mentioned that you try to put a positive spin on these kind of things consciously, but it comes from a different place. So do you have to be in a certain mood or to write these songs? Do they come to you, or can you force it out in a way?
I could force it out, I think. When I'm writing songs on my own, I need to wait till I feel that inspiration and until I feel a certain way or feel inspired by something. But when I'm writing songs with other people, there's songs on this album that I wrote with some of my bandmates, you obviously can't all wait till you feel inspired, so you have to just kind of get in a zone. But the kind of person I am, I love sitting, watching the world go by. I take everything in that goes on around me all the time. I constantly watch the news. I constantly keep up to date with what's happening in the world. So there's always so much stuff going on that is inspiring to me. A simple thing like the Commonwealth Games being in Glasgow. I watch it and I find it inspirational, all these amazing athletes, but I also look at it from a different angle and think about it in a different way, and to me that can be really inspiring.
Finally then, the album's called Under Stars. When in the process did this title kind of float to the top?
The title comes from a track on there called Under Stars, and it's a song that I wrote about my best friend. She was working for a year in New York, which was amazing, but she was completely on her own, totally isolated, homesick, and incredibly lonely. And I went out as much as I could, and I remember the first time going out there, she was so happy to see me. But then when I had to go home, she was devastated, and I felt terrible. I felt like I was just abandoning her, but I had to go home. And I sat on the plane leaving the airport, and it was night. I was just daydreaming out the window, looking at the city, looking at the sky, and kind of hoping that my friend was okay. And that's when the idea for that song came into my head, and pretty much as soon as I got home, I wrote that track. And it's this idea that even though she's halfway across the world, I just wanted her to feel like I'm still there, and that she can call me any time and I'll always be there for her. And it was just that idea of no matter where you are and you look up at the sky, we're all under the same stars. And I think even now, with the way things are going in the world, we're constantly kind of being told that we're all different, and we should all be doing different things, and we should split up and all of that. And people just constantly want to point out everybody's differences, but I think ultimately we have a lot more in common than we have different from each other. And I thought that title of Under Stars was a really great sentiment for the kind of world we live in right now, that we might be different in some ways, but we're really similar in many more, and we're all under the same sky. We all live on the same planet, and we all need to kind of work together to make things better. And I just thought that was a great kind of message for the album. People say that it's cliched or whatnot, but I think sometimes you need a cliche, and in amongst all the negativity, it's good to have a little positive cliche in there.
And this friend, has he or she told you what they think of the song?
Oh, she started crying as soon as she heard it, yeah, but good tears. She absolutely loves it, and she loves hearing songs that have been inspired by her.
Okay. Amy, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you.